right, bro. How you doing, man?
Great. What about yourself?
Good. I'm all right. I'm all right, bro. So yeah, man, we were just talking about some things, before we started recording. And today I thought maybe we talk a little bit about Haiti and what's going on there. The what used to be called Saint Domingue, also called the Le Perle de la Antilles, the Pearl of the Antilles, right? So of course, we were rapping about Haiti and its history and the revolution, and what I guess we can start out by talking about that in short, and then we can kind of get down to some some of its modern some of its current uh current ills and what's going on there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And you know, we not you know not trying to make light of the situation or anything. And we really do, we pray for the people, and you know, we pray for Haiti and for its people, and you know, we ask that the Blessed Mother will intercede for them. Um,
Yeah.
I believe the Our Lady of Perpetual Help is the patron saint of Saint Domingue of Haiti. So we
Oh,
ask
wow.
her intercession. Yeah. So just in short, historically, Haiti's been known to be sort of this
Like the problem child of the Caribbean,
the problem child of the Caribbean.
kind of.
Whether being the problem child is good or bad, I guess can depend on who's talking about it, right?
Hmm.
If you say the French and the United States government in the 18th century, they would have said it's a bad thing. They really are. It really is the problem child, right? If you talk if you talk about resistance and revolution and you know and pushback and all of that, you're gonna say, you know it's good to be the problem child because I wanted to, you know what I'm saying, you want to fight for justice, for liberty, you know fraternity, brotherhood, you know and all of these things, right? um but I was talking to you uh today, and I had mentioned the idea that the French Revolution, I mean the Haitian Revolution, and its and the story of how it sort of came to this point of revolution and liberation, right? And what I was trying to explain was that I think that the narrative that is given about its about its evolution, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's rising out of the foamy sea. You know, with the revolution in the 1790s, may may be more of a romantic um, story than a reality. Okay, and so I'm just gonna try and set it up here again and try to explain what I think could have happened, and I could be wrong. I'm not a historian, uh, you know, so I don't know, but this is just my thinking. Now I say, okay, in in Haiti and in much of the Spanish and French speaking colonies, and Portuguese. Let's talk, we can include them all in the Western Hemisphere. It was far more common for Latin speaking um, plantation owners to have relationships whether they be legitimate or illegitimate, with uh, you know, slave with they would have it would have been much more common for them to have relationships with African women, and children would have been born from that. Children would have been the outcome of that relationship, right?
Hmm.
But at the same time, these men who own plantations, you know, in places like Saint Domingue, currently Haiti, you know, um, would also have probably had family, or a family at home, like in France. Okay, so now, if you had a son who was, say, of mixed race, I guess they call them mulattoes, you know, um, that son would have grown up maybe thinking that he would have been able to inherit the plantation in his later age, when he comes of age. Okay, when that doesn't happen, okay, maybe we say, because, I'm built, this is a hypothetical, so I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I'm building a hypothetical here. The son, who's of mixed race, says, I don't really, I want to inherit the plantation, right? Because I'm your son. But the father says, no, you won't inherit the plantation. My son, who lives in Paris, will inherit, or who lives wherever, I don't know, Avignon or Normandy or
Lyon,
Bordeaux, Lyon,
Marseille.
Burgundy, whatever, he'll inherit the plantation. Okay. And so now, in my head, I say, well, now if that was me, if I was the son living in Saint Domingue or Guadeloupe or Saint Martin, I might say, you know what? How do I, you know, excuse my French, but how do I fuck this up? in order to, in order to show that, what, I'm a little upset about that. I'm a little angry about the fact that my father, who probably doted about me and talks great about me, and even gave me education, sent me off to Paris to get an education and read, everything. But I'm not going to get the land. I'm not going to become the, um, what do you call it when you give somebody? I'm not going to be
Oh,
the one.
the inheritance, or the inheritor, the
Yeah, the inheritor of the estate,
yep,
right? I'm not going to become the inheritor of the estate. And that makes me a little angry.
the heir.
The
We
heir.
Yeah.
Yeah, the heir. Okay, so what do you do? Well, I, I'm not all the way a Frenchman, basically. Is I didn't inherit the the I'm not really French. I'm not really, well, I'm not really white. You know what I'm saying? And but I'm sort of better than these black. I'm sort of better than these slaves. You know what I'm saying? And I can, and I'm not really one of them either. But guess what? These slaves are probably angry too, and they're a little pissed off about the fact that they've been cutting down this sugar for years and years, and and basically working until the day they die, you know, on this sugar plantation. So guess what? Maybe I might be act kind of like the trickster and influence them to help to create a revolt. you know. So I say, all I'm saying is that I think it would have it would have been far more understanding for someone who's sort of in the middle, who doesn't who felt like they got shortchanged, to kind of, interject and inspire something like that, you know. Um, and of course, this this probably would have been the case with a lot of people in military personnel, because I think a lot of the people who were in the military in Saint Domingue, I'm not exactly sure, but I think some of them were of mixed race, and
Mhm.
there were also there were also black generals, like, uh, Toussaint Louverture. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that name, Toussaint Louverture. So, I think it would, I could understand how they would sort of create the catalyst for a revolution. You know, so what do you think about that? I mean, we're just starting out here with
Well,
talking about.
I think that is I think that's a very very likely scenario, because the thing is, it's really difficult for any historian, let alone like armchair historians like you and I are,
Yeah.
to to go back to a period like that
Right.
and try to say, based upon like the textual evidence and stuff, this is exactly what happened.
Hmm.
I think that there is a little bit of, maybe you could call it like a historical imagination that you have to use in order to really piece together the narrative of what happened. And
Hmm.
that's where I think it's very valuable to kind of lean on Rene Girard,
Hmm.
on mimetic theory, because if that theory is true, then it really says a lot about the way that humans interact with one another, and the way that humans understand one another, and kind of kind of it gives you the ability, I guess, to understand maybe the incentives to do certain things, and
Yeah.
the repulsion against doing other things.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not saying humans are deterministic. I don't think that's what Rene Girard would say, but it kind of gives
Yeah.
you a framework to understand what motivates humans to act.
Yeah.
So when you broke it down into, you've got the slave class who were exploited,
Hmm.
and their human dignity is denigrated because they're treated like property, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then you've got the upper class, like the aristocrats, who are probably just, they probably speak with the same accents that they speak French with on actually in France.
Hmm.
Then you've got this middle group, who are
Hmm.
the offspring of
Hmm.
the aristocrats and the slave class, who
Hmm.
who are mixed race, right? They were
Hmm.
called, I was trying to look it up. I think they're called gens de couleur, right?
Gens du Couleur. Okay. Gens du Couleur. Okay.
Which means like descendants of color, or something,
Yeah.
but it doesn't
Right.
mean, what it means is that they're mixed, basically.
Right. Right.
So then they would probably speak French with a unique accent, the way that like
Mm.
an Australian would speak English with an Australian accent, and not with a London accent, or with something that would be identified as being a mainland English accent. Yeah, it would be Australian, or there's the English accent, or there's the American accent, and so on. So
Right.
among French people, there would obviously be what people might call like a colonial accent,
Mm.
versus like a mainland French accent, which would have variations of like maybe Lyon
Yeah.
and Parisian and Marseille, and all these different places. And there's
Right.
probably a Basque way of speaking anyway. um so you probably have this group that basically don't, like you said, that are kind of like in the middle. They don't really fit in with the upper class, who are
Hmm.
probably very very French acting,
Hmm.
French speaking, everything. Then you have the slave class, who are probably still maintaining African, African customs in one way or another. Now, the
Mhm.
interesting thing is that that according to Catholic canon law, they all have to be baptized and attend church, right? Like
Mhm.
that was different in the English colonies.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you know, we were talking before about how isn't it always interesting that the bourgeois class, like the middle class, the ones who are not the wealthiest, but they're not the poorest, they're the ones who are kind of in the middle with a surplus, who have the extra time to be able to sit and think.
Mhm.
They're usually the catalysts for revolution. Like
Right.
in
Yeah.
in the Russian Revolution, it was what you actually called the black nobility
Mm.
that were the ones that were really the drivers who empowered the Bolsheviks to
Mhm.
end up overthrowing the czar. They ended up collaborating, like a lot of the illegitimate children of like
Mhm.
the of princesses and duchesses and all the Russian aristocracy, like kind of like the off-brand aristocracy. They
Mhm.
envied the upper class,
Mhm.
and then they would also hear from people, from religious men, like Rasputin. They would end up hearing
Mhm.
from these revolutionaries
Mhm.
about the plight of the working class, and they would think, oh, well, if I were at the top, I would
Mhm.
do things differently, because
Right.
I would be good if I had all
Mhm.
that stuff, you
Right.
know? And
Right.
so I'm thinking, and then in the French Revolution was very, very similar. Most
Mhm.
revolutions, the catalyst is always that middle class, but they're always
Mhm.
the ones who end up getting their head removed from their neck at the end of the revolution.
Right.
It
Yeah.
ends up being hell for them more than anybody else, because the wealthy are able usually to escape.
Right.
The people at the bottom are usually the ones who are forced into becoming the foot soldiers for the revolution, and
Mhm.
they're also the ones who end up dying in the largest numbers. But then
Mhm.
the middle class are the ones who are usually the catalyst for it. Not
Yeah.
all of them by any means.
Yeah. Right.
So
Right.
I think I think what you just laid out is something I've never heard before from anyone, but I think it falls right in line with the framework that we tend to see
Mhm.
whenever there's a revolution. It's usually, as much as Marx and Engels and Lenin and Mao and all these people want to try to make it sound like
Mhm.
the revolution starts from the bottom up,
Mhm.
it almost never does. Revolutions
Yeah.
almost always start from the middle out.
Right. 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 And I'm not I'm not trying to I'm not trying by any means to you know to take away from the pride that is within the 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 revolution that took place in Haiti, you know. But I think maybe there might be a tinge, un peu uh, of romanticism in that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Um, and like you said, the same thing could be said for a lot of the revolutions, and of course, Russia is one of them, right? And it's only because we're able to look back at that period, and a lot of people have an understanding of that period, that we can say that the communist revolution actually turned out for the worst. But actually, I dare to say, I take that back, because there are people living today who are our age who see that revolution as romantic,
Hmm.
whether it be Cuba, whether it be Russia, whether it be Ethiopia, whether it be China, whether it be Korea, whether it be other South American countries, other African countries or Asian, right? There are people who do romanticize that period of time, and or who maybe don't even romanticize it, but think it was, they'll say, well, the the communism wasn't really, what do they say? It wasn't really, they
It's
didn't
never been
do it.
truly put into
Yeah, yeah, it's
practice,
never
right?
been, yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
never been truly, adopted. We didn't really truly, practice communism.
They always say that after the fact, but then whenever all the blood is being spilled, then the little phrase that they always say is, "Well, you got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet." You know,
Right, right,
that's what
right,
that's what they.
right, right.
It's like you can't
Right.
have it both ways, baby. Yeah, it's not.
And so, I mean, for me, I think the same thing could be said for, Haiti. Like, yes, it was, it's a, it's a, it's a, how do I put this? Let me take my time so I don't say nothing out of line, brother. You know, uh, it's a, it's an awe-striking maybe thing to have conceived of people who were enslaved being able to overthrow a powerful empire like France, right? Um, if for anything else, France was considered to be sort of the nucleus of aristocracy and nobility and and status in Europe, right? Even the English court
Mhm.
imitated France, right?
The English are always posing,
The Russian
always.
the Russian court imitated France. Okay, I mean they did.
Well,
The
e- e-
Russian,
except for
yeah,
beards, right? Like
except for well, except for
the
beers.
Russians have always got to be a little bit different.
Well, after Peter the Great came, he forced them to cut them beards. He forced them
Yeah,
to cut
but
them beards.
I think like Tsar Nicholas II, he had a little beard, didn't he?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
no?
yeah. I mean, of course. I'm not saying he was
They
able
grew
to
out
out.
huge, massive mustaches too.
Yeah, yeah. They had the mustaches, but the Spanish court imitated France.
Hmm. Yep.
I mean, you know, France was sort of the central. You know, everybody in Europe wanted to be France. Sort of thing. You know what I mean? So
Yep. Well, and
I
they were the continental hegemon, really up until German unification,
mhm.
and then
Okay, yeah,
everything went to hell.
right, right. We know how much you. We know your critiques
Yeah.
on the Germans. Allemand, Allemand. You know what I'm saying? But I just say that to say, I think here we can say, okay, and I have to, I'll have to maybe put that book that I read in the description. Um, but he's a historian, and I believe he teaches, I think at Duke,
Hmm.
something like that. But he wrote a book on the Haitian Revolution, and he talks about how, like, once the revolution had been sort of you know successful, there was like a consecutive like wave of generals who usurped one another.
Mm.
you know so and then and they were having like standoffs with each other, like there was civil wars, where one general would have the allegiance of a group, and then another general would have the allegiance of another group, and then finally that group would usurp that general, and then so it was like this consecutive, like just wave after wave of political upheaval and strife, right? So then you get to the 20th century, you know, um, and again, I'm not a historian of Haiti, and or let alone much of anything, uh, but I find it fascinating. And then you get to the 20th century, and Haiti had a played a big Haiti, along with a lot of other Caribbean nations, played a big part in the banana. The United States played a big part in influencing politically what took place in Caribbean nations, and Haiti was one of them. And it's called I believe it was called the Banana Wars. I think
Yes.
that, yeah,
Yep, the
the
Banana
Banana.
Wars. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I know Haiti was actually became a, um, I guess, became somewhat short of a colony.
Yeah, it
You
became
know,
like a vassal state, and the
yeah,
US occupied it until the 40s, and then I think we controlled their finances until like the like 1950 or 1949 or something.
right, right,
And
and so
before we left it, we ransacked their the country's treasury.
right, the country, yeah, that's right. We
We
took
took a bunch
because
of cash from them, and then we sent a bunch to the French.
yeah, right. Okay, okay, okay. And then so then you get from here's the other thing I wanted to say about talking about Haiti and its natural resources. You know, someone, I don't remember where I read this, but they were talking about, when the earthquake happened in 2010, they had talked about how um they had talked about how the earth, because of the deforestation, because of like so many trees being taken up, um, I think during the 18th, 19th, and 20th century,
Mhm.
that it created like it the ground wasn't able to really absorb the shock from the earthquakes. So it created like you
Oh.
know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, someone was saying that because of the deforestation and the trees that have been taken up for so many years, that actually, you know, actually helped to create more destruction within the country. Now, geographically, it's good. It would be good for people to understand this, because I think a lot of people, when they hear the name Haiti, they don't understand that it's one side of an island. Okay,
Yep.
so I think just for people who don't understand geography, I'll point that out. Haiti is the western side of the island, and the Dominican Republic is the eastern side of the island. Okay, and so it's one island with two countries on it. With two countries,
Yep.
within it. So that's just for people, just so people understand that. But you know, getting down to the fact that you know so many countries, I mean, well, particularly France and the United States, has had its hand in the political affairs of Haiti for quite some time, right? We were talking about all the way back to the Banana Wars. Now, I don't remember when were the Banana Wars. It was in 1920s, something. Let me.
I think the Banana Wars were a little bit earlier.
Okay,
Started a little bit earlier than that, but they kind of continued on during the 20s.
okay, yeah, okay. Here it says 1898. So
Okay.
18, yeah. So for 30, it says 36 years, 3 months, 1 week, and 4 days. That's I mean, wow. You know what I'm saying? That's amazing, bro. But
Yeah,
you know,
we went into Nicaragua, we went into Guatemala, and I forget the other countries, but we went all
mhm,
over the circle of the Caribbean.
mhm, mhm.
You know.
Yeah, yeah. I think Panama was another one of them or something
Hmm.
like that. Yeah, I mean it's just crazy, you know. And I think that was under it's- was that under Woodrow Wilson? Who's
1898 would have
president?
been President McKinley. No, who was right before? Would that no? Would that have been Grover
I don't know.
Cleveland?
Let me see. We can see. We can see. Um, mm,
Okay, come on. That would have been
what, Theodore
yeah.
Roosevelt?
William McKinley. 18.
William
So
McKinley.
William McKinley was president from 1897 to 1901.
Okay. Okay.
Theodore
Okay.
Roosevelt was 1901 to 1909. Remember that Theodore Roosevelt was President McKinley had won re-election in
Hmm.
1900, and then he got shot and killed, and
Hmm.
then Theodore Roosevelt was his vice president and took over.
Mm, okay. 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 So I mean we know the United States has had a policy as it pertains to Central and South America
Well,
and
and it really began with the Monroe Doctrine,
the
right? Like,
Monroe Doctrine, right? The Monroe Doctrine,
yeah.
right? And what they say, they said any any foreign intervention in this region, in our backyard, will be considered a threat.
Well, and that's the nice way of putting it. Basically, what it means is we're the only ones allowed to intervene in this
Mm,
hemisphere.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Nobody
And
else is allowed to intervene. You know, oftentimes people try to couch it and make it sound like, well, the United States is saying that they're trying to protect the autonomy of the countries around here. No, 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 no.
right,
What the United States is doing is they're saying that we're the only ones allowed to
right,
intervene in somewhere like Haiti. And
right.
in many ways that's probably the reason that we've intervened there is to prevent the French from going and intervening there. You
Mm.
know, like
Now, do
that's
you
probably
think?
the reason that we make sure that the French get paid out whenever we go there,
Right.
is to make sure, because we don't want the French stationed over here. And
Okay.
frankly, the French are too busy um with their boot on the neck of the North Africans,
Right.
and
Right.
extracting the resources from
Right.
those countries like uranium and coal and oil and everything, that
Right.
the French probably don't want to go to Haiti. They probably don't want to go to the Caribbean because they're so busy focused on attacking those people in North Africa and
Right.
taking their stuff.
Right. Right. And I mean, to be fair, France does have overseas territories in the
Hmm.
Caribbean. They have Guadeloupe and I believe Martinique. These are two
Hmm.
overseas um, territories in the region. And and it's funny because you never hear about those countries
Right.
really ever when in an English speaking country. Um, and I think in large part because they don't have the drama of turmoil,
No.
right? You know, um, I think again, going back to this idea of the problem child, I think people really do sort of, and this is something I was saying to you before when we were talking about this. I said I do think that people in the United States, especially on the left, they like the idea of romanticizing Haiti as being this um what did I say? Beautiful lie. This
Hmm.
beautiful, beautiful destruction. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, like how sometimes they'll romanticize, like, if you're black, you living in the ghetto. There's something beautiful about that. I said the beautiful struggle,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's something beautiful about struggling, right? If you come from, you know, I don't know, Brazil, like what's the place in Brazil that they always talk about? The favelas,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's something so beautiful about being in favelas, and I'm gonna I hate this shit. I think it's really irritating to me, to be honest, because I think it's it's bad. That's terrible to romanticize
Right.
that. You know what I'm saying? You got these. I'm sorry, man, but you got these white chicks on the left who their parents can pay for them to go off to these places to work in the United Nations and the Peace Corps and Medicine Sans Frontier and shit like that, right? And they
Mhm.
can, and I'm gonna just, I'm gonna write my portfolio and I'm gonna
They're
do
invested in their mutual funds.
yeah,
They're getting their dividend checks every month and everything. And they're so ethical, and
yeah, yeah,
they and then they want to romanticize the way of life in Haiti
right,
when it's rough down there. And the
right,
thing is, and those people deserve to live in better conditions. And
right.
then remember, and I'm gonna go there.
Okay.
Remember when Donald Trump called Haiti by a particular um
Yeah,
called Haiti an s-hole country.
yeah, yeah.
Well, the thing is, I don't know in what tone it was said. I don't know what the situation was, but I
Mhm,
mean, just call it out for what it is. I mean,
mhm,
I know Haitians that
mhm,
agreed with that, you know,
mhm,
and that said that it was made worse by Bill Clinton and George Bush Sr. and all those
mhm,
people going down there after the earthquake
mhm,
and really raising a lot of money for soaking a lot of Americans for a lot of money, and then
mhm.
going down there and then economically advantaging not Haitians,
Yeah.
not people that actually live there that
Mhm,
that have a vested interest in their neighborhoods getting better. But
mhm,
what they did was they ended up doling out these massive cell phone contracts to like an Irish billionaire and to
mm,
to to like to like Saudi wealth funds and everything. And
mhm,
and the thing is, these guys all got direct contracts with the Haitian government, and
mhm,
or they lent the Haitian government a bunch of money, and
mhm.
and they're using usury to soak a bunch of wealth out of the country.
Right, right.
So the thing is, you know, people take a people make fun of the projects and the ghetto and stuff. and
Mhm,
and the thing is, there's a lot of play there's a lot of play there, but one of the biggest things is when you don't own something, you
mhm,
don't have a vested interest in it being maintained and
mhm,
making it better.
mhm,
You
mhm.
know, and the
Yeah.
thing is, when you are deprived of owning, when you're deprived of having an ownership stake in your community,
Mhm,
you have no incentive in making your community better. Now,
mhm,
should you still want to make your community better? Yes.
mhm.
But the thing is, the motivation isn't there,
Right,
because any benefit that you make, any sacrifice you make your community better, who's that benefit reaped by? It's reaped by people who probably have never even stepped foot in your country.
right, right, right. And
If the Chinese were to come into America
mhm,
and want to start buying up, they want to buy up farmland and everything,
mhm,
so that they can take all the profits home.
mhm.
What we as Americans would say is, to hell with you. No.
Right, right,
But when the Haitians say that, we look down at them and say, well, you guys are just poor, you guys are stupid, and you guys just don't understand.
right,
You guys don't understand money. This is too complicated for you.
right.
Well, you know what? Those people can go to hell that say that. There's a
Well,
special ring set aside for them where where
yeah.
where the sodomites and the usurers go, according to Dante, right? So
Hey,
so so the thing is, like, let empower. if you're going to dole money out there, empower the people who live in the communities, who live there,
Mhm.
who have an incentive in making it better. And you know what? Their definition of making it better may not be your definition of making it better. Their definition of making it better may not be putting a Walmart supercenter in the middle of the neighborhood. Their idea of
Right,
making it better may be starting local businesses. You know,
right,
that
right.
is,
Which is
they know
which
what's
is
best.
yeah, and honestly, to tell the truth, that is absolutely fair to say because see, when you look at the Caribbean population that come to America, that's exactly what they do. They 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 become entrepreneurs, bro. Like
Mm-hmm.
they create businesses. They have restaurants, they have
Yep.
stores, they have shops, they have whatever. And then they encourage their children to go on to become doctors. You usually, I think the stereotype with Haitians is, you must become a nurse or a doctor, you
Oh
know,
yeah, man.
or what'd you say, engineer.
Yeah.
You got to, it needs to be practical and high status. So I can tell everyone, my son,
Yeah.
my son is a doctor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and you know the thing is, I mean, that drive that they have here, you
Yeah,
know, we're tapping into the benefit of in America because when they improve themselves, it makes all of our lives better. That means we
yeah,
have more doctors available to
right,
serve us and everything here.
right,
But the
right.
thing is, the reason that they weren't able to do that in Haiti is because nobody there reaps the benefits from improvements. You
And
know,
who do you think is besides okay, I guess the question would be, do you think that there are people within Haiti, the political elite, that are sort of playing the two cards again? Here we go with this, playing the two hands,
mhm.
you know. Um, do you think that they are sort of using okay, I guess what I'm saying is, do you think they're corrupt?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Haiti is one of the most corrupt countries in the world.
yeah.
But remember something too. What happens when you have a leader in Haiti that gets
Mhm,
elected
mhm,
and says that he's going to push out foreign influence
mhm,
and what he's going to do is he's going to work to restore ownership of the community back to Haitians. What
mhm.
happens to them? Well, we saw what was it 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, when I forget what his name was, but the president of Haiti,
Jovenel
that gang showed
Moise.
up, knocked on his door, and said, "Hey, we're from the USTEA,"
Mhm,
and so obviously he let them in because the United States Monroe Doctrine dictates that even the Haitian president is subject to the jurisdiction of the USDEA. They show up, knock on his door, they come in and they gun the guy down, they kill him.
mhm,
You know,
mhm,
so the thing is, what that does is it sends a message to anybody that's going to rise up in the community in Haiti and who's going to say, you know what, we're going to have a real revolution here.
mhm,
We're going to have a real struggle, a real struggle session where what we're going to do is we are going to return ownership and governance of our community back to our community. Anytime that
mhm,
somebody like that pops up, it's like
mhm,
whack-a-mole.
mhm. Right.
The people who are soaking the wealth out of the country, they knock them down.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And
You know,
then, they propped up Ariel Henry, right?
is he the current guy?
Well, he's not the current guy anymore because because my brother uh, barbecue
Oh yeah,
would
yep.
not let him barbecue would not let him back into the country. You know what I'm saying? He went. So this happened a couple weeks ago, and it's funny because I've been tracking this whole thing, man. I've been watching this whole thing kind of play out. Even when it was sort of under the radar.
Mhm.
This is when they were talking about sending in Kenyan armed forces,
Yep.
Kenyan troops, because the Kenyans had agreed to go. Well, the Kenyan government had agreed to send troops to Haiti to quell the
Isn't
conflict.
that such a, I mean, you talk about, I mean, look, this might be controversial, man, but you talk
Mhm.
about racist.
Yeah,
The U.S. State Department is going to say, okay, so the Haitians won't let us directly send troops in,
right.
but Kenyans are black.
Yeah,
So what we're going to do is we're going to make the Kenyans go in
yeah.
and do what we would have done. That dude, that is, dude,
Well,
for these white
someone.
New York Times reading liberals that
Yeah,
actually like run the U.S. government, that run the State Department, everything,
yeah,
who the thing that they're always talking about racism, dude. That's racist as hell.
yeah, yeah. Well, not only that. Somebody said that see, the Kenyan government has a lot of corruption within it, and they use those secret forces to get rid of political opposition.
Mm.
So, I don't know how true that is, but I'm just saying if that is true, I mean, don't you think that that's probably the same thing that they would do in Haiti? They're
Well,
gonna
well,
get rid of the people that
and
whoever's
I'm
in
sure
whoever, yeah.
and I'm sure that the Kenyans probably piggyback on U.S. intelligence, and the
Mhm,
United States probably provides them with a lot of weapons and ammo and
mhm,
everything. And in
mhm,
exchange for that, when the U.S. needs something from the Kenyans, I'm sure that the Kenyans are probably have to go
mm.
and uh and offer a helping hand. You know?
Right, right, in the dark.
Yes, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and then now it is kind of an old story, but a couple weeks ago, I think, or it might have been 3 weeks ago now. Tony Blinken was in a hotel room with I guess some of the Haitian cabinet, maybe with
mhm,
that Ariel Henry
yeah,
guy. They
mhm,
were in a hotel room planning the next Haitian government in I think in Jamaica
yeah,
or in one of the other island countries down there. And
yeah,
it's just like, and they're saying that they're doing that for democracy.
mhm.
Like, come on, dude. Like, just
No,
stop.
yeah, that was straight up.
Yeah,
That was straight up.
just
Lord
say
Lord
just
Blinken,
yeah.
Lord Blinken is coming down to
Yep.
tell you that you must step down. You know what
Well,
I'm
and
saying?
you know that's the thing. Why not just come out in the open and
Mhm,
just say, look, we believe in democracy, but
mhm,
we don't trust the Haitians to pick the government that we would want them to have,
mhm.
and ultimately we're the more powerful party here, and we're going to decide who the Haitians will be governed by,
Right,
because it's all foreigners that own the country anyway. You
right.
know, why wouldn't people like Blinken just be honest, grow a pair, just be honest, and just come out and say that?
Mhm,
And instead of just saying, well, we're doing it for democracy. It's all for
mhm,
democracy, democracy, democracy. It's funny how whenever they say that they're doing something for democracy,
mhm.
it's usually the antithesis of democracy.
Right.
You know,
Right, right, right,
they
right.
say
Yeah.
we're trying to lock up Joe Biden's political opponent for democracy.
Mhm. Right.
We're propping up Zelensky in Ukraine, who suspended all opposition political parties and who suspended the election. We're
Mhm,
we're we're propping him up for I mean, this is all for democracy here.
mhm, mhm,
I mean,
mhm.
come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But now, okay, just to just to close out, what do you think the solution is to this to what is going on in the region, right? Should we say, look, man, the United States needs to just not interfere? Haiti is an autonomous. It's, you know. It's a country. It should be recognized as such. It doesn't, it shouldn't have to constantly relive its past, you know, and it shouldn't be burdened by its
Right.
by its past. You know what I'm saying? Um, and that's so I just wonder what are some of the sort of solutions to this because
I'll say this, man. I think one, the United States and all the foreign powers that continue to subjugate that country,
mhm,
primarily through military intervention and usury,
mhm,
what they need to do is they need to repent of their sins.
mhm,
What they
mhm,
need to do is um forgive the debts in
mhm,
in any way that they
mhm,
possibly can.
mhm,
They need to repudiate those debts, not only for the sake of the Haitians, but also for the sake of their souls too,
mhm,
because
mhm,
I mean, really what they've done is they printed a bunch of money, they've
mhm,
lent it out to the Haitians,
mhm.
and what that does is it allows them to control the resources there.
Okay. Yeah.
Haiti has a massive gold mining industry. Haiti
Okay.
has a lot of has rare earth metals, and Haiti also has what they believe to be one of the largest natural gas and oil reserves on the planet that's not
Wow.
tapped into yet.
Wow.
So the thing is, I think the reason that they've got the Haitians chained up in all this debt
Mhm,
is to prevent them from tapping into the resources that are within their own country,
mhm,
you know?
mhm, mhm,
Um, and then the other thing that I think the Haitians need to do, because, you know, I think that there is some criticism that's due to that is fair to aim their direction
mhm.
is, and I know it's got to be hard, man. Yeah, you you and I have not lived the life that an average Haitian has over there. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
we've had it on easy street.
Yes.
Um, but what they have to do is do what, remember, like the British invaded Ireland
Mhm,
back, was it around like 1,000 or 1,200 or something?
mhm,
And they began like systematically, they deprived the Irish of their language.
mhm.
They forced them to speak English, and they wouldn't allow them to learn Gaelic.
Okay.
They
Mhm,
stripped them of their history, they stripped them of all kinds of things. But
mhm.
what the Irish leaned into was their faith in Christ
Right.
as being their identity that mattered,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And look at what the Poles did when they were occupied by the Soviets.
Right.
You
Right.
know, they
Yeah.
they didn't view themselves as being poor, pitiful me,
Mhm.
and they didn't view themselves as saying, like our identity is our Polish ethnicity, and
Yeah.
that's somehow going to save us. And
Right.
the Irish didn't do that either, in spite of like the Irish even being like starved off of their own land and everything by the Brits. That's
Mhm,
how
mhm,
that's how part of my family ended up in America, was
mhm,
they got starved off their land. Anyway,
mhm.
they turned to their faith.
Right.
They understood, obviously not perfectly, and as much as they were able to, they understood themselves, they understood their identity as being sons and daughters of God,
Mhm,
adopted into the holy family by the Lord, by
mhm,
Jesus Christ. And
mhm,
I think that would put an end to a lot of the revolutionary movements in Haiti.
mhm,
Which it's hard, man. Like when you have close family members that have been butchered by gangs and by foreigners, and
mhm,
you're being deprived, like your children are being deprived of food and stuff. I mean, that's got to be hard. I mean, that's got to be hard no matter what. And but
mhm,
the easy thing to do is to say I to say I don't accept Christ as my Messiah. I
mhm,
accept communism,
mhm,
or I accept Marxism, or I accept DEI as my Messiah, or I accept, or even I accept capitalism as my Messiah, or I
mhm,
accept Jeffersonian Republic is my Messiah. No, 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 no,
Mhm.
no. Those are not
Mhm.
your Messiahs.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and ultimately, I think so. I don't have any numbers to go on here or
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
but I would imagine that the Haitians that continue to maintain their faith need to be encouraged, and hopefully the Haitians that have not will find it. You know,
Mhm.
and I think that's
Mhm.
something for us to pray for.
Amen, brother. I'm with you. I'm with you, man. Well, yeah. Again, we we pray that the Blessed Mother will intercede for them.
And
You know, and
pray for us.
yeah, Amen. So, all right, man. Until next time.
Yeah, man,
Hopefully,
we
hopefully,
covered a lot of ground as always.
yeah. Well, as always, man. Hopefully next week we'll there'll be something in the news that will through the prayers, through the prayers that
Yeah,
it'll turn out the right way, and we can leave this stuff about this eclipse alone. I don't want to hear no more about that.
man.
So
Listen. So many people have been talking about that eclipse, and then on top of everything, man, those those occultists at
mhm,
CERN are firing up the CERN the this that CERN. I don't know if you call it particle accelerator
mhm,
or no. I think they call it a hadron collider or something like that.
mhm,
They're
mhm.
they're firing that thing up at the time of the eclipse. It's like, you know, you that those people are satanic and practicing some kind of witchcraft. Yeah, I can't put my finger on exactly what it is, man, but there there's something there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we'll pray for them too, bro. We'll pray
Yeah,
for them
man.
too.
We need to pray for their conversion too. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, brother. Talk next time, man.
All right, peace.
Peace.